Hey guys, so in this video I'll be looking at another one of Seneca's letters. This one is called On Saving Time, and it's actually the first letter in the entire collection. But anyways, so this is actually a really short letter, but it says some pretty important things about managing your time and why you should start valuing your time a little more. Okay, so let's get right into the letter. So right at the beginning here, Seneca writes about the loss of time and how people kind of waste it and don't really pay attention to how they use it. So here he says, the most disgraceful kind of loss, however, is that due to carelessness. Furthermore, if you will pay close heed to the problem, you will find that the largest portion of our life passes while we are doing ill, a goodly share while we are doing nothing, and the whole while we are doing that which is not to the purpose. So right here, he's explaining how people waste their time through carelessness. You know, how people usually don't care about where their time usually goes. Especially in today's world, it's very easy to get lost in the internet, which is completely filled with entertainment. Everywhere you turn, there's some big source of short-term gratification. Whether it be video games, social media, Netflix, things like these can really make you forget about where your time goes, or even worse, it can make you complacent and not really care about how or where you use your time. And when he says that a portion of our life passes while we are doing ill, what he means is that many people spend lots of time in arguments, fights, trying to take revenge on other people. Like trying to get back at someone, holding grudges, and doing counterproductive things to the relationships and other things in your life. Like arguing over something almost never works in changing the other person's mind. Revenge doesn't really help anyone's situation, and bickering over things doesn't really make anything better. And then he also talks about how people waste their time. Like many people waste their time, including me. But still, even now I think I still waste a good portion of my time, and I have to work on that. But you have to see that time is something that we cannot have back. You cannot have any of your time back, no matter how much you want it. Even if you're the richest man on earth, time is the one thing that you cannot buy more of. Once your time is gone, it's gone. And another thing that Seneca touches on is the idea that lots of our time is spent without a clear goal or purpose in mind. Like if you're just scrolling around on Facebook or YouTube and not really doing anything productive or fulfilling, then you're just kind of wandering around without any clear direction in your use of time. But this isn't to say that you can never have any fun. This isn't to say that you always have to work and that you never can play video games or watch YouTube or have fun with your friends. What Seneca is saying here is that you have to have a clear purpose and a clear direction to your use of time. So why are you playing video games? To have fun, relax, and to give yourself a break. Like even something as simple as that is a good clear purpose to your use of time. At the very least, if you can point out and tell yourself what your time is being spent towards, you'll be able to plan out and know at the very least where your time is going and why it's going there. So give your time a purpose, whether it be for working towards a higher income, working to help other people, relaxing, to have fun, whatever it is, give your time a purpose, a clear goal. Alright, so if we continue down the letter here, Seneca kind of talks about the worth and value of time and how death is coming for us all. So he says, "What man can you show me who places any value on his time, who reckons the worth of each day, who understands that he is dying daily? For we are mistaken when we look forward to death. The major portion of death has already passed. Whatever years lie behind us are already in death's hands." So right here, it's a little bit confusing, but I think what Seneca means by this is that you have to see the value and worth of time, understand that death is coming, and to see that whatever time you use is gone forever. Alright, so at the beginning here, he talks about knowing the worth of each day. So Seneca is trying to tell you that you have to start valuing your time and realizing the worth that it has. You have to see that you can actually be very, very productive and accomplish many things in just a short period of time, if only you can set yourself to the things that will actually push yourself to accomplishing your goals. It's surprising how much you can actually do in a single day if you really focus and stop yourself from messing around wasting time. Okay, so on top of that, Seneca also mentions how death works in our lives. He says, you don't realize it, but you're actually dying every single day. Like every day that passes brings you one day closer to your eventual death. Death is just the final parting, the final event that officially disconnects you from the world. But if you think about it, every day that passes brings you one step closer to that final event. But also, you have to realize that all of the time that you have already spent in your life should be considered as dead time. In the quote, Seneca says, whatever years lie behind us are in death's hand. I think that pretty much sums up the message here. As time passes, that time goes into the past and becomes dead. You can't get that time back, and no matter how much you regret your past decisions or actions, you can't redo the past or change it at all. All of the time in the past is dead time, never to be changed or given back ever again. Whatever time passes permanently. You can think about the hourglass. Just imagine an hourglass in your head. Look at the sand falling through the glass, from the top chamber to the bottom one. See how the sand that falls will never get back up the glass. Every grain that passes through the channel will never go back up to the top. Whatever time has passed in your life, whatever time you have spent in your life, is now gone forever, and you will never get it back. Okay, so Seneca then goes on to talk about valuing your time and using it well. But I found this quote to be pretty important. Lay hold of today's task, and you will not need to depend so much upon tomorrow's. While we are postponing, life speeds by. Okay, so what does Seneca mean by this? So in the first part, he's actually talking about procrastination. And it's actually kind of funny, like how even back then, thousands of years ago, they still had problems with procrastination. It's so weird that this bad habit of putting things off for later is actually pretty universal and doesn't matter where you live or when you lived. Procrastination will always be one of the biggest obstacles for doing the things that you really want to do and accomplishing these goals that you set out for yourself. Face the pain now so you don't have to face the pain later, and if you face the pain now, you actually have the luxury of choosing whether or not to do the thing. Because if you put it off for later, then you're going to be forced into the pain. Like, for example, let's say you have to write an essay in the next month, but you put it off and you continue to procrastinate and you never start the essay. And then all of a sudden you're at 3 days before the due date of the essay and you haven't even started yet. So at this point your mind is pretty much freaking out and you have to start the essay right now. Sounds like the classic procrastination story, but I want to talk about that moment where you start to freak out and realize that you have to do the essay, because this particular point is pretty important. Okay, so what exactly is happening when you realize that you only have 3 days to finish the essay? At this point, you feel the force of responsibility pushing down on you, and you feel so much pressure that it doesn't matter how much pain it takes to write the essay anymore. You just start. Before you had 3 or 4 weeks until the essay was due, you didn't have the pressure of time, and so you actually didn't care about finishing it or not, or even starting the thing for that matter. But eventually, you reach the point where you start to freak out and you're kind of forced to start the essay. It's not your own free will anymore that's making you write the essay, but instead, it's the pressure that you get from the lack of time to do it. So, with this example of the essay, you can see that you can either choose to face the pain now or be forced to go through the pain at a later time when you're being pressured to do it. Like, if you're going to face through the pain anyway, then why not do it now? Just get it over with right now. Instead of being forced to go through it when your mind is freaking out and you're dealing with tons of pressure and stress. So that's what Seneca means when he says, lay hold of today's task, and you will not need to depend upon tomorrow's. He says to do your work now, so you won't have to worry about future you. So finally, actually, I want to take one more look at this last quote in Seneca's letter. Nothing, Lucilius, is ours, except time. You were entrusted by nature with the ownership of this single thing. So if you think about it, everything can be taken away from you. Your home, your furniture, your car, your phone. You have all these material things and you give yourself ownership to them, but what is ownership? Do you know? Ownership is nothing but a creation in our head. There isn't a universal law stating that whatever is in your possession is yours. Everything that you own right now can easily be taken away from you. Everything except for time. So if time is the only thing that we truly on a natural level own, then we should respect this possession and use it responsibly while we still have it. Because time that you have is not infinite, and one day it will run out. So follow Seneca's advice. Value your time, don't spend it needlessly or wastefully on things. Give your time a purpose, give yourself a purpose. One of the scariest thoughts to have is this. Imagine yourself on your deathbed. And imagine that you never really tried to accomplish anything. And imagine that you wasted the good part of your life to useless things. And finally, imagine you on your deathbed, asking yourself, what could I have accomplished? What could I have become if I didn't waste my time?